Hello, everybody. It's Danielle from Wusa Holistic Health Coaching. I am back today to discuss with you more things holistic, the things that they impact our health mentally, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. I was asking some friends that watched my video from yesterday, what should I expound on? What do you want to hear more about? And since a lot of my audience and my clients are ladies, they are all wanting to hear more about feminine energy. What does it even mean? And I get it. We're hard pressed today to find women that are truly in their feminine energy. But why? It's the whole world. If you think back to the women's lib movement and how that was supposed to, save women from something, all it really did was make things harder for women. Because now they not only had to be feminine, they actually had to bring out more of their masculine in order to be in the workforce. And it started messing up everything in the household, messing up things in the relationship, overworking them, which caused them to have really bad problems with their central nervous system, causing other health problems, increased stress, increased anxiety. You didn't hear of women generations ago complaining about having panic attacks. That's today's women. Why? Because their central nervous systems are shot. Because they're doing too many of the things that they were never created to do. If you think about how a woman is made to be the feminine person, the feminine one, it's biblically described as a weaker vessel, the feminine one. But for some reason, women today decided that that's some kind of an insult, when in fact, it's just a way of being treated like something special, something precious, something to be protected, and something to be provided for. And we've gotten it so twisted, and you can see why. A lot of women have not even been raised with a man in the home, and all they had to look at was another woman stuck in her masculine energy because she had to take care of everything. There was no one else to rely on, so they had to do it all. And the only thing that maybe the women that they were raising got to see is a woman who was stuck in her masculine. So there's no judgment here. But at the end of the day, we have to know why it's important that we do something about it. It's because it's making us sick. When we have our adrenal glands burned out, when we have our cortisol hormones dumping all over the place, when we have our central nervous system shot, there's all these other hosts of physical, mental, and emotional problems that result because of that very thing. So when people say, well, what is it? What is our feminine energy? What does it even look like? That's what we're going to talk about today, because unfortunately, we don't even know what it is. And, I was thinking back to something my mother told me about, like the curriculum that she had even when she was in school. They had something called etiquette, charm classes that were built into the curriculum. And what that means is they literally taught women or girls how to grow up to be ladies or women, how to be soft, how to be gentle, how to be feminine. Girls today, they don't know how to do that. It's so bad that if a man were to open a door for a young lady, they might say something like, what are you doing that for? I'm perfectly capable of opening my own door. And the guy's kind of like, whoa, like what is going on here? Because at the end of the day, if he's in his masculine and he's truly trying to be a gentleman, what's the problem? The problem is the way we're looking at it. The problem is we want to act like men, but we don't. For what? For what are we doing it for? We already have enough to do just being women. So another thing that people get confused about is they think it has to do with what we look like. Of course that matters. We want to, if we're feminine and we want to be in our feminine energy, then yes, there's a look to that. Feminine women take care of themselves. We've got parts, take care of them. We don't want to show up like we don't care. We definitely don't want to show up like that. Now, here's the thing. This conversation is not for women that are not interested in being in their feminine energy. Maybe it's not for women that want to be completely independent. They don't ever want to be in a relationship, or they're in a relationship and it's okay, but they don't really want to do anything about it. This is for people that want to level up in their hormone responses, their hormonal balance, their nervous system. They want to quiet some of the malfunctioning going on in their body. They want to improve the relationship they are in, or they want to attract a healthy relationship from a masculine man who is in his masculine energy. And what that means is a man who's an actual provider, protector man. A man, if you don't care about all that, fine. This conversation is not for you. If you don't want to hear this, I get it. It's okay. Maybe it's not for everyone. Health-wise it is, but if it is annoying somehow for you, then please don't listen. But if this is something that interests you, we're going to talk about the real and the raw of what it looks like. So the other day I was having a conversation with a woman and we were talking about her feminine versus her masculine energy. She says, the craziest thing happened. It was my wedding anniversary and we were going to go out for a dinner date to celebrate our anniversary. Tell me why I was so cold. I didn't dress appropriately for the weather and I was freezing, but I did not want to say anything. So it was becoming obvious to her spouse that she was uncomfortable. And he said to her, hey, are you cold? Why don't you take my jacket? And what do you think she said? She said, oh, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I don't need it. But then she thought back to our earlier conversation in her holistic therapy session where we were getting specific about how she could improve in her feminine energy. She goes, oh my word, I'm in my masculine right now. Why am I not letting this man be a man? Why am I not letting him give me his jacket? So the interesting part was the minute she decided to take the jacket and not just take it, but to really receive it with gratitude and appreciation, she saw a ripple effect or a domino effect of other behaviors that she attracted from him after the fact. So that night she took the jacket. She made sure that she told him how much she appreciated it and how it made her feel. So you might hear that as just, she's just doing too much or whatever. But what she was doing is she was rewarding what she wanted repeated. Why? When you reward somebody for doing something right that makes you feel good, they actually get something called a dopamine hit or a hit of the feel good hormone that we all love. It's like when you get that high five or that hug or whatever, those things release the same kind of chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. And we are all designed to run towards pleasure and run away from pain. So you as the wife or the woman in the relationship, you have the opportunity to give this man the reward of that hit of dopamine by saying how much you appreciate that. So then tell me, fast forward why the next day, this same man who normally isn't the most helpful is running around doing all kinds of stuff for her that he normally never would. She says to me, he's doing stuff for the dog. We've had this dog for years. At no point did he ever think, maybe I should take out the dog. Maybe I should walk the dog. Maybe I should clean up after the dog. She's like, every time I acknowledge what he did and I make a big deal about it, he feels that reward and I get rewarded because now he's looking for more ways to help me than he ever did before. Because now he doesn't feel like I'm coming for his manhood. So then he's treating me like he's getting in the ring with another man when he's addressing me. Now, because I'm in my feminine, he treats me more like the feminine one. He's softer with me. He's more helpful and it's improving the relationship. I have so many stories just like that for my other ladies who I'm working with on their feminine energy. It is awesome what it's doing. And these tweaks are not hard. They're not hard at all. So I recently went on a trip to Phoenix and I was with some of my girlfriends that I've had for a long time. And so we're very comfortable with each other and we can go there. And so since this feminine energy topic has been so fascinating for me and I'm getting these great results with my ladies, my clients, I decided to share some of it with the people I was visiting there in Arizona. So I'm at my friend's house and we're in the kitchen and we're talking about whatever, their plans for the night. We're going to have a party. People are coming. So we're talking about like the food and who's going to cook what and all that. But I'm noticing about every 15 to 20 minutes, this family friend's husband keeps coming in to say just whatever. At one point, I think he said something like, hey, babe, I just washed the dog. And she's like, okay, thanks. And then we get back to our conversation. And then he leaves and then he goes and does something else and he'll come back and he's like, hey babe, I just cleaned the grill. So it's going to be all ready for barbecuing tonight. And she's like, okay. So after like 3 or 4 times, I finally said, hey, can I tell you something that I've learned lately in my holistic practice that's been helping so many people? I think you're going to find it really interesting. She's like, oh, I love all of it. Tell me everything. So I said, have you ever heard of feminine energy? And she's like, no, what is that? And what's interesting is her son, who's like 21, he was kind of hovering and he's like, you don't know what that is? And she's like, no, what is it? So I just sidebarred. I'm just saying that because I think it's interesting that the younger generation, they're talking about it. So we older ones, we need to catch up because hopefully the next group coming up behind us, they will have this figured out. But anyway, I said, your feminine energy is something that if we don't get it in check, it's really going to mess with your health, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So do you know why your husband keeps coming in here every 20 minutes or so to tell you what he just did? She's like, no, why is he doing that? And I'm like, he's looking for something. And she's like, what does he want? And I'm like, when a man is in their masculine and they're coming to their woman looking for something, they're looking to be acknowledged. Everybody wants to be seen and heard and validated and acknowledged. And when you just go like, okay, they don't get anything from that. So then they're like, let me try again. So I said, try responding in your feminine energy. And she's like, but what is that? And so I was like, okay, the next time he comes in here and he says what he just did, why not try saying something like, oh, wow, that is so nice. Thank you so much. You really have been doing a lot for me today. And I don't know what I would have been able to do, what I would have done if you hadn't have helped so much to get things ready for tonight. I really appreciate it. So she's like, really? I'm so bad at acknowledging what's to me is just basic and what you should be doing anyway. And that's where we ladies are getting it wrong. That's not what that is. It isn't just basic. If we know that what gets rewarded is what gets repeated, then what ends up happening is we get less burnout because we have to do everything because we're refusing to acknowledge things that we have crossed our list because now someone else took care of it. What if she had to cook the food, clean the house, organize the games, and do the grill, do the dog, pick up the stuff in the yard? The list gets too long. That's how we get our adrenal glands burnt out. That's how we get our cortisol worn out. That's how we get our central nervous system shot, which raises the stress, the anxiety, and all the things. So if it's just as simple as saying how much we appreciate something, because remember, guys, whatever we're grateful for grows, and whatever we appreciate appreciates. Now, what's going to happen? If this man now gets that dopamine hit because you made him feel seen, heard, acknowledged, and validated, guess what he does next? He's like, that felt so good. I got to experience pleasure instead of pain. I got to feel that dopamine hit, that feel-good hormone release in my brain. Guess what he wants? He wants more of it. So what does he do next? He goes to look for the next thing he can do to help out even more so that he can get that reward again. What does that do to the relationship? It brings the people closer. It creates a better commitment. It creates a more, just like, I don't know, synchronicity. It's just a more beautiful experience together instead of just like, yeah, well, you did what you ought to have done. Like, no one wants that energy. No one likes that. So if you're, especially in a long marriage, you really want to make sure you don't forget to acknowledge the little stuff and even milk it so that that person feels compelled to do even more for you, which allows you to stay in your feminine, keep things softer, keep things from being agitated so that the healing can take place. There's so much damage to our feminine energy, guys, from what we've been through, all the trauma. You know, maybe you are divorced like myself and you ended up in a situation where you were a single mother and all of a sudden it was all on you. And then a few years after that, you lose your husband in death like I did 1 year ago. I've been a widow for, in a couple days, 1 year exactly. I didn't think I was going to be talking about that. But the point is all of a sudden you have to do everything that a man does and everything that a woman does, which means I have to be so much more intentional to make sure that I'm in my feminine, because it's on me. So I'll tell you something that happened to me recently where I was overconfident and I thought, you know what, I'm feeling good. All the things I'm doing, I enjoy. I bet I'm in my feminine. So I tapped into it and I realized I'm actually in my masculine. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So I kind of asked myself some questions and I thought, what could I do to make myself more feminine in this moment? And then I realized there is a male in this house. It's not a husband, not a boyfriend, none of that, but it is a male. And he is 17. It is my son. And I was doing all these projects, I was doing all these chores, I was cleaning out cabinets, and I was not asking for any help. I just kept doing it all myself. Why? I don't know. I just think, again, our female energy, masculine energy is just all jacked up, and we have to just be so much more heightening in our awareness of what we're even doing. So the minute I realized it, I just said, oh, duh, let me go ask for some help. So I went and I asked for help, and just that fast, I was back to not being dominated by my masculine, and my feminine was back. And then I was able to be softer and have more of a gentleness and a calmness over my nervous system. So does that mean, guys, that we don't still make sure that the hair is on point, the nails is on point, your face is done, you smell good, you're clean, you're well groomed, all of that, of course, is being feminine. Back, like I said, when my mom was school, they taught you how to sit in a chair. They taught you how to have good posture and have your shoulders back and your head up and not be all drooping and slouching with bad posture and, walking like a boy. I don't know, whatever. They taught girls how to be girls. We don't have that anymore. So here's a tip that I've got that I was just sharing with a client a couple days ago. Because we're sometimes hard pressed to find people in our lives that are super, super good at being feminine, maybe something you can do is look at classic film and classic TV shows. If you have cable TV, you still can find those things. One example would be something like Leave It to Beaver. I think that June Cleaver did a brilliant job. She pretended like she needed all sorts of help. That woman was perfectly capable, but she didn't act like a know-it-all. When Ward, her husband, came home, she would go to him and she would ask him, his opinion on, well, what do you think? Or how do you think we should handle the situation with our boys? And she would listen to him, and she didn't overtalk him, and she didn't make him feel like he was stupid. And on top of it all, she looked great. And something I always noticed about her, she always looked cute, even when she was just like doing stuff in her kitchen. And she always had diamonds and pearls. So she was very well taken care of. She was definitely protected, and she was definitely provided for, because she was with a man who was not stuck in his feminine. He was a masculine man who wanted to provide and wanted to protect, and she stayed in her feminine, and she got to benefit from those qualities. Now, again, if this doesn't matter to you, as long as you have a man, you don't care if you've got to pay all the bills, this conversation is not for you. But like I said, I've been through some stuff, and I'm in middle age. I am not interested in a man in their feminine ever again. So this is important to me because I'm never, ever going to be with someone again, or I'm never going to be okay with a man that is not in their provider protector energy. I'm just not. That's not where I'm at in life. If somebody wants to be taken care of, please do not ever reach out to me, because I'm not doing it. It's just the way it is, because for me, Woosah isn't even my business. What does that mean? It means peace. It means calm. Why? Because I know that there's no healing in a place that's agitated. I don't want to ever live in an agitated body again. I've done it before. I've been super sick. I have been able to not get out of bed. I have lost my ability to walk. I have lost my ability to hold down food. I have had a rash from the top of my neck all the way to my ankles, where my skin just itched like crazy because my nerves were shot. I know what it feels like to be miserable miserable, sick, and I don't ever want to experience again. So that's my why. That's my why for protecting my peace and making sure that my nervous system is where it should be so that I don't provide an environment that encourages chronic illness and disease to form. So that is what I have to say about feminine energy today. I hope that it helps, because I know that I can't just say to you, get in your feminine energy and you're going to know what I'm talking about. And we'll talk more about it. But in the meantime, I hope that gives you something to think about and a really just kind of a good point of view, a place to start from where you can start thinking about it and just being more aware of it and seeing where you're at with it and learning to ask for help and to get soft with yourself, because that's the way women were made. I'll see you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed this content. Like I said before, please subscribe. Please meet me here again tomorrow. Tell everybody what's going on in this community. Let's build it together. And don't forget to woosah. Have a good day, everybody.